Nearly 6,000 veterans have already lost their jobs and been terminated from federal service at an unprecedented rate, and will all enter the civilian workforce with less protections. While my time is limited, I just wanted to say this. This isn't subjective. This is evidence. This is evidence. In less than 2 months, this administration has proved itself to be the most anti-veteran administration ever. What's going on is just not right on so many levels.
Yeah, you called it the most anti-veterans administration in history.
It is. I mean, there's almost 6,000 veterans that are terminated. It was just reported today that 80,000 VA employees are going to be terminated. They have the most amount of veterans. It shows you that the billionaires are the ones who matter, you know, and they're going to step on anybody to get them what they want. So it's unfortunate, but a lot of people are going to suffer.
And you came to this town hall. Why?
I felt like someone needs to speak up for my patients, the most vulnerable people, and that's all the voices that we're hearing here. Many of them are people speaking up for vulnerable people, and so I feel like that's a responsibility of my job as a physician to represent my patients in this way.
Currently, over 2 million Arizonans are covered by Medicaid, including over 750,000 kids aged 0 to 17. The federal budget cuts could take coverage from 550,000 of the most vulnerable Arizonans.
What do you think the mood is generally in the state as far as the actions of this administration? And do you feel like things have changed since the election? Trump here in the state?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think we're all trying to puzzle through it a little bit, but I feel like there's regret for sure.
I think the attorneys general believe that a big part of stopping this insanity is enlisting the American people.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a people-powered movement along with the AGs filing these lawsuits. So obviously, we will continue to file these lawsuits, continue to protect America from this out-of-control billionaire and president. But ultimately, we also have to make sure that these stories that are American stories and stories of people who are being devastated by these cuts are told so that everybody knows what's happening. And I think we learned a heck of a lot today.
Yeah.
These federal job cuts are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. They are real people, real families, and real consequences. In June, I will lose my job. As a father of a 3-year-old, this isn't just about my career, it's about my child's well-being right now. Without my job, I don't know how I will afford to keep her in preschool. The stress of this situation isn't just financial, it's emotional too. It's the fear of not knowing what comes next or having to make impossible choices between my daughter's education and basic needs. I have dedicated my career to education. That is 25 years of my life.
We haven't lost yet, by the way. We filed about 7 lawsuits we haven't lost yet because what he's doing is illegal.
This isn't about partisan differences, right? This is about litigating the law, what is constitutional. And we've now reached a point in American politics where it's not like Democrats fighting the Republican administration. It's the chief law enforcement officers at the state level who are saying that's just plainly unlawful.
It's unlawful. Why do we
It's just a completely different world in American politics.
It sure is.
It's about legality at this point.
Well, we're in a new phase of American history when the chief executive of the country is absolutely unconcerned about the legal implications of his decision. It used to be that the president was like, well, is that legal? What do the precedents say? What do the statutes say? I'm here to execute the laws, not to violate the laws. Well, this president doesn't see it that way. The lawless, unregulated, just arbitrary way he's acting, and it means that we've got to stand up and oppose it, and I believe we're going to win.
My name is Jeff Thiemann. I've been a proud TSA employee for 22.5 years. How many of y'all like to go to the airport and wait in the long TSA lines? Well, if it keeps going this way, it's only going to get worse. I stand before you today not just as an employee, but someone whose livelihood and whose family's well-being is directly impacted by the recent budget cuts and firings. We've given years, decades in many cases, of service to this country, and we deserve better than to be treated as disposable.
Now, I am a 10-point preferred veteran. Not that I give a crap about that because everybody goes, you're a veteran, you need to be protected. No. There are plenty of people in these organizations throughout the federal government, civil servants, that have dedicated their lives to these things. And excuse the parlance, but they're getting shit on right now, and it's crap. Absolute garbage.
Good evening. I am a citizen, a veteran of the United States Air Force, and a concerned mother. And I received a phone call from my son, who is a federal employee, also a veteran, assigned to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Currently, my son is receiving daily harassing emails from DOJ demanding that he resign, demanding that he respond with 5 things he did at work this week. And as a mother, I am tormented knowing that my son and his family have sacrificed so much by accepting the assignment on Gitmo, only to be subjected to relentless harassment by the government he serves. This president and his billionaire buddy are destroying careers, disrupting lives, and causing untold stress with American households. We must stand up for these federal employees. We must fight for them to be reinstated to their jobs, and we must ensure that the felon in the White House respects the law.
Joining me now is Congressman Al Green, Democrat of Texas. Congressman, you emphasized that your spontaneous protest of Trump's joint address was about the massive cuts he and Republicans are proposing to Medicaid as they slash through the government. Despite that, you were escorted out of the chamber and censored. The president has called you low IQ and an embarrassment. And the far-right House Freedom Caucus is trying to get you stripped of your committee assignments. I want to remind our viewers that you led the charge in Congress to impeach President Trump during his first term. Do you think that has factored in all of this?
Thank you for having me, Reverend. Of course I do. I think that the president, who is known for his desire to retaliate, is engaging in what he's known for. And I do believe that we have a responsibility, however, to protect Medicaid. Medicaid is all many people will have when it comes to health care. In Texas, we have about 20% of our population without health care, more than any other state in the country. Our children have an uninsured rate that is twice that of the national rate. So we have to protect Medicaid. And that was what that was all about, protecting Medicaid. And I am prepared to suffer the consequences. Protest, peaceful protest, is about getting in the way, as John Lewis put it, and also being prepared to suffer the consequences. But Reverend, that doesn't mean that I have to like the consequences.
Yeah, you know, I heard you say that immediately after the censoring, and I identified with it. You talked about that's how many of us in the civil rights movement behaved. I've been arrested over 30 times, have done 3 months in jail, 45 days in jail, all for nonviolent protests, and you accept it. And you said you're not angry with Speaker Mike Johnson or members who voted for your censure, which included every House Republican and 10 Democrats, some of whom have complained that the protests during the president's address were uncivil, a mistake, and a distraction. But as I recall, you may have 2 House members with the last name Green who've protested during recent presidential addresses. Only the black one is being censored for it. Are Democrats being too civil during this time when American rights and freedoms are literally on the line?
Reverend, that's a great question. The president recognizes that we are being civil, and he uses his incivility to take advantage of our civility. I was dismayed, disappointed, and quite frankly, I was hurt to see the President of the United States indicate that the Democrats were lunatics, that we are lunatics. He did that on national TV at the joint session of Congress. He will not be censored. He will not be reprimanded. He will not be in any way placed in any kind of punishment. I think that we are finding ourselves in a position where we have to meet incivility with incivility. Now, Reverend, he does it to harm and demean, just as he has given me this nickname that he thinks is going to somehow besmirch my name or my reputation. We do it to uplift people He does it to put people down and demean people. That's the difference. If you're doing it to uplift, to help people on Medicaid, to help people on Medicare, Social Security, save the Department of Education, protect veterans who are being fired, those who are at the VA and working, if you're doing it for these reasons, that's a righteous cause. And I think that we'll have to have additional incivility, which is another form of peaceful protest.
Now, the Democratic response to your protests and censure showed just how divided the party is over not just how to counter Trump, but how to craft also a compelling message to American voters ahead of our next election. Some Democrats have taken a combative stand with Trump, or they're using the courts to block his action. Other leaders are trying to find places they can compromise with the administration, or focusing on pragmatic message that contrasts with Trump's chaos. Which response is right for this moment, in your view, Congressman?
Reverend, allow me to just use this metaphor. When I leave here, I'm in Houston, to go to Washington, D.C., I'll take a plane. There are some persons who may go by train if they choose. Others may go by car. The vehicle is not really the question that we have to cope with as much as it is the destination. We're all moving toward the same destination. Some will choose a different vehicle. I think that we have to, at this point, have a combination. We have to have the litigation. We have to have legislation proposed, even if it doesn't pass. And then we have to have some agitation. I think that all three will give us the opportunity to metamorphose into a message that will make a difference. And I think that this will give us the opportunity to reclaim the House.
Donald Trump, one thing Donald Trump understands, and I'm going to give him credit here. Now, don't go away. Just listen. I'm going to give the monster credit because he understands the impact of mass politics. This is, again, the only other person that understood it better than him in the last 20 years has been Barack Obama, who did it better than him, right? Other people have come close, like Bernie Sanders, but Donald Trump is very effective at it. But here's the thing, he's losing the effect of his bully pulpit because all of his MAGA people are turning against him. And at these press conferences, these town halls, which are basically, they're done by Trump puppets. So they might as well all be done by Trump because these MAGA Congress people are just Trump puppets going up there and parroting and puppeting Donald and Muskie's point of view. But the people are rejecting it. And as we saw, Congress people are rejecting it. Al Green isn't going away. I know some mealy-mouthed Democrats, some of the most cowardly Democrats have voted to censure him, but most of the good Democrats, many of them progressives, but even some moderates as well, have been standing with Al Green and saying no, whether it's regular folks at the town halls and at the press conferences or whether it's us in Congress, we understand Trump isn't normal, so it's unreasonable to expect normal actions. A normal Republican president, that might have been inappropriate. A fascist in the White House, waving your cane around and a bit of a loud voice, that's the least you could do.